This episode of Product Team Success is brought to you by Top Prods, the community for product operations managers. Now, here's the paradox. Product managers desperately ask for structure, process, and documentation. You build it, but they don't use it. Does it sound familiar? It's not just frustrating. It's costing your teams weeks of wasted effort and leaving everyone wondering what product ops is actually for. But today, you'll hear from 3 product operations pioneers who've cracked this code. Jennifer Bronson reveals why your documentation is failing and how to stop automating yourself out of irrelevance. Karin Cross-Smith shares the secret to making governance feel like second nature and really human nature instead of just busy work. And Amanda Herbert exposes when skill gaps aren't actually skill gaps and what to do instead. So if you're in product operations and tired of building things nobody uses, the next 15 minutes will fundamentally change how you approach your role. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Jennifer, you've lived through what you call the documentation paradox for years. In fact, you actually put a post up after finishing a bunch of operational work, and I think it really struck a nerve. So what's really going on here?
I had the 2 and they were like decently thought out and I knew what I wanted to say about them. And then that one was just, this is how I'm feeling today. I had finished up a whole bunch of stuff and put it up there. And I knew that the moment I put it up there, no one was reading it. I don't understand. It really is a paradox to me. And it's something that I've seen continually for years and years. Like, people don't want to, myself included, I don't want to do something because it feels daunting and I feel like I don't have the amount of support and backup that I have. And then someone or something goes ahead and creates all of this documentation about how to do the thing, and I still don't read it. My goal would be to automate myself out of a job. Right? Then I can move on to the next thing because I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again either. That's not how I see my job. So I guess the documentation paradox is that I feel like I am sometimes automating myself out of something that nobody was really asking for. But they were clearly asking for it and said, please do this and take care of it. And I do that. And then it either doesn't get used, or now that it's been taken care of, nobody feels like they need to continue to do it. So I can't give a great example of this, but this is something that I feel has been happening when I look at, for example, a Notion space that I've worked on for ages at this company, right? Years of putting together Notion spaces, incorporate into the way that people are working, or build a new process, or work on like just streamlining things to give people back their time. And that I learned that needs to come from the people I'm building it for, no different from if I were building a product for a market. So my prod ops life is mostly product managing for a group of product managers.
So the paradox is clear. PMs ask for help, you build the solution, then it sits unused. Jennifer's realized the fatal mistake, treating product ops like a service organization instead of treating it like a product. You can't build for product managers, you need to build with them. But even when you do that, there's still a deeper problem. Let's talk about why good process feels like a burden in the first place. So Karin, you've got this brilliant metaphor about driving a car that I think solves Jennifer's paradox. Can you walk or drive us through it?
I mean, you started out with this talking about busy work, right? And finding comfort in busy work. And that from the outside, maybe it sounds like, process and governance. I'm a product manager. I don't want to have to think about process. I just want to be thinking strategically. I want to be thinking about my customers. Yes, that's all good. That's why I think having product lifecycle management and having a reliable governance structure and perhaps a reliable tool is so important, because then you don't have to think about it, right? It becomes muscle memory for you. And then you can think about the important things that you want to be thinking about. So I'm going to get in my car tonight and I'm going to drive somewhere. How much thought do I have to put into starting the car up, putting it in reverse, backing out of my driveway and heading down I don't think about it. I just do it, and it's not anything because I'm trying to get to the goal, which is I'm meeting my godson at a coffee shop tonight. Great. That's the goal. All of that stuff that takes me to get there, I don't have to think about it. It's not a burden on me. It doesn't matter. It's just me taking my car to get to the place where I'm trying to go. And that's what I think of PLM is for, and that literally just came to me here while talking to you, Ross, but it's how I see PLM for the product managers, right? They shouldn't have to think about it. It shouldn't be a burden. It should just be, these are the steps I need to do to get to the goal. The goal for me tonight is to see my godson at the coffee shop. I don't care about putting my key in the car, driving down the driveway, all that stuff. It's not a hassle. I don't enjoy it and I don't not enjoy it. It's just part of what it takes for me to get to the goal. And so that's really like getting into that sweet spot for a PLM is that for me. It's making it just, here's how it works. Here's the things I need to do to get to the goal. If I didn't do these things, I'm not going to get there. So I'm going to do these things and it's going to get me there efficiently, effectively, and safely. And standing up a good PLM should feel very much like that. It shouldn't feel heavy to anybody. It should feel like, okay, this is just the things I do to get there.
This is the breakthrough insight. Product ops fails when it adds cognitive load, but it succeeds when it removes it. The best governance structures become invisible, like starting your car and driving somewhere without thinking about the mechanics. You're focused on the destination, not the journey. But here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes the entire system is broken, and no amount of good process can fix it. So Amanda, you've been on both sides. In the people team doing PM upskilling and now on the product side, treating it like a product. You've discovered something crucial about what looks like skills gaps. But what have you learned?
And then going in and trying to uncover, how do we know it's a skill gap? Where is the skill gap? What's the impact of the skill gap is when I'm thinking about PM upskilling, and how do we measure it? And how do we measure if we've had any impact with the things that we're rolling out? At the previous organization, I was actually in the people team doing this. And so I was with other people in talent development who have experience on doing like adult learning experiences versus coming more from, now I'm on the product side of it, of treating it like a product that we're trying to build. And I was able to bring that product mindset into the people team and say, what's the outcome that we're looking to get? And how do we measure success of this in a way that isn't completion of trainings? Like 90% of people attended the training, this percent of people got a certain score on our assessment afterwards. That doesn't really say if we are applying the skills that we say that we need to. Between those two roles and with that slightly different sort of lens that I was taking when I was looking at that, in both cases, been able to develop a framework that allows us to sort of assess where we are and use data to say, like, where do we want to focus the attention? In the current one, what we're learning is that it's possibly not actually a skill gap, and it's more of the environment that the PMs are operating in. We can improve their skills as much as we want, but because the system is what's blocking them from the sort of behaviors we say we want, it wouldn't actually have the impact. The ability to see the data and say, like, where are people at versus what are the outcomes that we're able to achieve allows us to be more intentional with, like, what actions we take off the back of it.
And there it is, the complete picture of the paradox. You can build all the documentation, create frictionless processes, and upskill your teams. But if the system they're operating in fundamentally blocks them from the behaviors you want to see, none of it matters. Product operations isn't just about tools and templates. It's about diagnosing the real problem, even when it's uncomfortable. So what have we learned about escaping the paradox of product operations? First, stop building for product managers and start building with them. Your documentation fails because it solves your problem, not theirs. Second, make your processes invisible. If PMs have to think about your governance structure, you've already lost. It should feel like muscle memory, natural, automatic, essential. Third, measure outcomes, not completion rates. Training attendance means nothing if behaviors don't change. Use data to identify the real bottlenecks. And finally, be willing to point at the system. Sometimes the most valuable thing that product operations can do is surface the problem isn't the people, it's the environment they're trapped in. Product operations isn't about documentation, templates, or training programs. It's about creating the conditions where product managers can do their best work without thinking about the infrastructure that enables it. If you want to dive deep into building product operations that actually gets used, join the Top Prods community where we focused on practical frameworks that product managers actually want to adopt. Follow Jennifer, Karin, and Amanda on LinkedIn. They're all continuing the conversation with brilliant insights. And if you enjoyed this paradox, check out our other product operations episode featuring Hugo Frist, Katie Hudson, Alan Onfield, and Anna Peterson. They tackle the paradox from completely different angles. So from me, Ross Webb, and our friends at Top Rods, until next time, remember, the best product operations is the kind that nobody notices. Bye for now.